and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Please take your seats. There was an executive session held prior to tonight's meeting to discuss personnel. Roll call, please.
Brochus.
Here.
Reichtner.
Here.
Barnhart. Here. Martina. Here. Ister.
Are there any public comment on agenda items at this time? Public comment on agenda items. I make the motion to approve the minutes and reports. Minutes from February 27th, 20th and 27th. Reports from Fire Department, Police Department, Treasurer, Code Office, Health Department, and Planning Commission. Do I have a second? Second.
Reichtner.
Yes.
Barnhart.
Yes.
Martina. Yes. Ister. Brochus.
Yes. Unfinished business. There is no unfinished business, but there is new business. In your folders, you will see the CDBG funding prep schedule for 2023. Does anyone have any questions that you need to answer?
No, clearly not. Everybody needs to stay night, so I gotta get here when I can get here and get you to approve this so that I can go to the next one.
No, that's right. All right, so I'll make the motion to accept the schedule. Do I have a second?
Barnhart.
Yes.
Ister. Brochus.
Yes.
Reichtner.
Yes.
Martina. Yes.
Councilman Barnhart.
Yes. I make a motion, resolution 2023-14 to add 240 Ridge Avenue to public nuisance.
Second.
Martina. Yes. Ister. Brochus.
Yes.
Reichtner.
Yes.
Barnhart.
Yes. I make the motion, 2023-15 to update the public nuisance list for 240 Ridge Avenue.
Second.
Ister. Brochus.
Yes.
Reichtner.
Yes.
Barnhart.
Yes.
Martina. Yes.
Councilwoman Martina.
I make a motion to rehire of Jim Barnes as part-time employee for DPW.
Will he come back at his previous wage?
Brochus.
Yes.
Reichtner.
Yes.
Barnhart.
Yes.
Martina. Yes. Ister.
Councilwoman Martina.
And I make a motion that for, to go back to signing authority for, jail for city administrator, so we can wrap up the changes between health and economic to back to city administrator.
I just want to put one thing in there, it's like on my behalf to sign all my documents, so I'm aware of what's going out there, things like that. So I'll second that with that caveat.
Reichtner.
Yes.
Barnhart.
Yes.
Martina. Ister. Brochus.
Yes. Councilman Ister.
Yes, in the order of this, you want the Parks and Rec Board,
Barnhart.
Abstain.
Martina. Yes. Ister. Brochus.
Yes.
Reichtner.
Keep going, Councilman Ister.
the final payment to G.R. Charles for the Brigham School project, amount of $4,998.99, which will be coming out of the escrow account we have for demolition, which will be placed back in after our solicitor contacts them and puts our payment. Yes.
Is this the final payment on Reagan Street?
Yes. For Ross.
Second.
Thank you.
Martina.
Yes.
Ister.
Yes.
Brochus.
Yes.
Reichtner.
Yes.
Barnhart.
Yes.
Keep going, Councilman Ister.
Yes, on the flood insurance, Mr. Alex has been questioning flood insurance, Jolene has got copies, and we're going to review them all, and go building to building, make a decision. We're going to be carrying flood insurance and the amount of flood insurance, so at this time, we're going to put that on hold until we get more information, and we can bring back to council.
May I make a suggestion?
Sure.
Maybe what you ought to look at also is contact the financial institutions. Understand what they're being asked for, or what their requirements are. So, for example, if M&T, through their mortgage department, requires flood insurance, say, for someplace like Parking Street, then I think it makes sense to carry some. But if the institutions aren't requiring flood insurance, and their mortgages for areas in the city or because of our dike system, our wall system, our flood control system, then I say that we should really reconsider whether we should carry flood insurance at all. If the institutions aren't requiring their mortgage holders.
Well, here again, I appreciate what you're saying, but it's just the risk we want to take. We don't have to have insurance, flood insurance, and then there's a risk if there is a flood, we have no coverage. So that's something we as a whole have to make a decision. What risk now, and I would suggest, I'm not sure the dollar value yet, so if we're going to take and eliminate that, there should be money put back in escrow. So in case that, they'll tell us the day will come it's going to come across that wall. We may not be here, I have no idea.
It's always a strong possibility that has happened at any time. But
I got another question on that too. When I was with code, a lot of the stuff we found out, when stuff was flooding, it was the backwater coming up into the system because of the low levels of the, now, does our flood insurance cover us for that?
that's a good question. And see, in 72, that's what the flood was in the city. It was backwater. It was all backwater. Because the water drained it out, the gates flat would open back up. So at that point, flood insurance does you basically no good. So, you carry flood insurance, there's always that possibility of coming over the wall. I think we're in like 500-year thing. So.
If anything, I think we're
That's-
100.
Is that what we're at? I think also.
You're fine.
You're in a 500-year plan, God's, they're looking at this, the actual variables are looking at this, and they're saying, this is one of the 500 years chance. So,
It's something we want to discuss.
yep.
Keep going, Councilman Ister.
Yes, Joel, do you want to have an agreement?
Yes, I do have that agreement. Yep, and it's part of the packet, and basically, the Shikley Acorn League now is going to have girls softball because there is no other girls softball being offered. My understanding is that they therefore are gonna have both baseball and softball under the Acorn Little League, but it's not gonna be called the Shikellamy Acorn Little League. Because of that, and because of the lack of fields that are available, they've asked to be able to use the Oppenheimer Field and the Miller Ball Field right behind Wise's for purposes of youth softball practice and games for the year 2023. I prepared a simple agreement which basically says that they'll pay us $1 to be able to use those fields, and they're going to provide proof of insurance coverage to the city, which names the city as an additional insured. You all need to, if you're going to pass this tonight, I would ask that you also, in your motion to pass it, include a insurance coverage amount which you would like to include in that agreement such that I can put it in there. I wasn't gonna make that up on my own, but, so somebody, what would need is a motion to pass it, including a amount for the insurance coverage we're gonna require.
We'll have to go back to Purdy's and find out what they recommend that we cover at the present time. We'll make sure that policy has us being insured under that.
Well, what we can do in that case, is we can pass it with the understanding that it'll be whatever Purdy suggested.
We'll be what, an additional insured on their policy?
Yes, we'd be an additional insured.
Just a question on that, not against it. With them using those fields, will they be maintaining those fields, or would it be our responsibility?
We'll be cutting the grass like we do.
Always, but
They'll do the dragging, prep, the whole nine yards.
Okay, so
The
just-
line, putting the lines down,
anything that's to do with the field, other than the grass, is our responsibility.
they're responsible.
They're responsible, other than the grass, yes.
I'll make that motion as such.
Second, Ricky.
Brochus,
Yes.
Reichner,
Yes.
Barnhart.
Yes.
Martina. Yes. Ister.
Councilman Reichner.
Okay, we have outstanding bills from the general fund of $180,971.67,
Can we adjust that?
and of liquid fuels of $51,883.06.
Can we adjust that for the one that before, bring it down to 375?
Was it 375?
Yeah, the number should be 580, 596, 67.
596.67. Okay. $180,971.67 $50,596.67 out of the general fund, and $51,883.06 out of liquid fuels. I make a motion we pay the bills.
Second.
Martina?
Yes.
Ister? Brochus?
Yes.
Reichner?
Yes.
Barnhart?
Discussion items, there are a few. Recently, I think it was last week, Derek sent out about some county blight fronts. Derek, I don't know if you want to explain it real quick so everyone's on the same page what's going on with it.
Sure. Northumberland County made available applications for blight remediation, improvement, construction of municipal buildings, the purchase of personnel protection equipment, and the enhancement of emergency services to all municipalities. The only eligible applicants are municipalities, and there's only one application you could apply for. You could, put things together, as many projects as you want that meet those criteria, cannot exceed $50,000, and they are due April 14th by 5 p.m.
Is there any matching money required?
There is a dollar-for-dollar match, yes,
All right, up to 50,000.
up to 50,000, correct.
All right, so I know there was some discussion where those funds would like to go. I didn't know we could discuss it here, what we see would be a good project for those funds, and if we have the matching funds to put towards it. So,
Two things. One, I would suggest that we put money down into the equipment shed.
no, but I'm saying, do we have the matching funds to do so? That's my question.
And also already talked to Derek about applying for a grant as a matching fund.
Okay, will we be able to do that, Derek, not knowing we have the matching funds from a $5 grand? And if we don't get the $5 grand, then what happens to the money that we would have gotten?
I would have to check with the county on that one. Actually, I did not ask that specific question. I would imagine if they were to award us whatever amount or something and we didn't obtain matching funds and that was the agreement, the funds would have to go back to the county, obviously.
Was this American Rescue Funds?
Yes, this was through,
So is that a stipulation they put on, giving you the money?
yes, yep,
The
the,
county put that stipulation on, it has to be matching funds. Okay.
correct, yes. This is a county step.
I would suggest,
Well, I was making a suggestion, why don't we throw that money in the City Hall upgrades, since we already have the matching funds, and whatever money we have left over, then we can throw it down into the DPW building, and we don't need the matching funds then.
well, two things. One, I think the city would be foolish not to find the 50,000 as a match.
Well, I'm not saying that, I'm not disagreeing, saying if we don't get it, then we lost $50,000.
Well, we're not gonna lose that, that's definitely, that's true. But by the same token, this building needs doors.
Oh, I'm not disputing that at all. How many times he told me the thing was terrible?
Yes,
It's got a lot of safety issues, a lot.
I'm just, I don't wanna lose the 50,000 if we don't have the matching funds.
Sure. I think we should authorize their chief to apply for 50,000.
Derek, you know where you would apply yet for that, or?
For the, yeah, I talked to Senator over all this and the 108th District staff. Did talk to them about that. Depending on what you want to use and if there is any funds through liquid fuels, this is federal dollars, so if we have any state dollars, you can use that to match this.
We can't use liquid fuels to match it all. We've already looked into it, Dr. Perry, we're forbidden as a municipality. What's forbidden as a municipality, we cannot use to do it for a municipal building, but the county can. But they're liquid fuels. It's just restraints that I'm under.
Maybe we can talk to some.
Well, let's make
Look at the options, we don't have much, just give them, be
discussion.
okay to do it, yeah.
Yeah, we have some time. It's April 14th. It's not a terribly difficult application. So there is.
Any other questions or concerns about that one?
I can get it as soon as possible, just do this.
Like that, Derek?
All right, moving on, this kind of played into what Jim was gonna talk about later on by trying to beat him to the punch here about recreational growth and upgrades. I mean, later on, Councilman Nicer is gonna talk about the tennis courts, but just trying to get an overall plan to starting to get a plan we wanna do for our recreational facilities, such as, you know, as Councilman Nice is gonna bring up about the tennis courts, how they need work to get a plan together, how, you know, some of the facilities at the ballpark need to be upgraded, you know, trying to get new facilities up there at the complex, so I wanna get some type of a plan together generated, because looking at the different grant opportunities out there from DCD,
DCNR.
yeah, DCNR, sorry, I gotta get the acronym right, that, you know, they're always, you know, every year, the grants are opening up, they're sending out different types of, we'll call it help how, hey, here's a grant that'll help pay for engineering, here's a grant that'll help walk you through all the steps, so doing that way, and maybe, a lot of people don't know that, you know, the federal government opened up lots of monies towards recreation after COVID, the state hired a new, position that within that email I saw, I don't know. Yeah, director of recreation, they hired a new person for recreation to try to push recreation, so I think we should get on top of that, because that's where, you know, a lot of people are going towards recreation, and, you know, we have the street projects, and let's start getting on the recreational end of it, to start building up our recreation to bring people to the city. So that's one thing I want to get going with Councilman Eister and everyone else. Like I said, sorry Jimmy Beach is a punch over the tennis court, so we've tied it all together here. Any questions on that? I mean, one of these times I'd like to have a work session, discuss, hey, what are some plans we want to do, to get some type of plans together, and we can start rolling the ball out. All right, we'll call it phase 1 or 2, whatever, on the whole recreational idea. Questions, anyone? Okay. Oh, fee schedule. All right, so I think in your packet, I think we were talking about the fee schedules for the longest time and never actually came up with anything, so I think it's in there towards the end. If not, I have to paper some stuff down on it. I mean, it's your basic stuff like, you know, the spider cords, easy up tents, trash cans, road barriers, picnic tables, you know, all those things that are needed for a, you know, if someone's to have an event, you know, these things that, like, you know, Steve or Parks and Rec, they gotta take the time out of their normal routine to go put these things up there for whoever the event may be hosting, and then whenever the next day or the following weekend or whatever, come back and take it down. I mean, that's all coming out of the ordinary routine of which we are doing. So, I mean, I could go down through the list and read off the prices. I don't know if you guys have them in there or not, but I think we gotta start someplace with these fees to cover the cost of which our personnel is doing to set up for these events, and such as, you know, using electricity or water or things like that. So, did you guys see that in there? Oh, it's in there. So I didn't know if anyone had any questions, wanted to adjust anything, but I think that's something we have to get into place here so we can cover these costs that the city is accruing by people having these events. So I don't know if anyone has any questions, or think it's too high, too low, I'm just crazy for thinking this, or what?
I haven't seen the fee schedule, so I don't know what you're basing anything for us on. So,
Because I just threw numbers together, I don't say I threw numbers together, but just a ballpark range there. See, if you think it's too low, you think it needs more manpower to do what you need to do, like, you know, throwing barricades out there for different roads, or, you know, trash cans, or tables, whatever it may be. Because, you know, we know you like your spreadsheets. Do you need one, Jerome? He passed, I'm sorry, I thought you did. I don't know if anyone wanted to add anything or take anything away, or what anyone's comments, concerns, ideas. All right, but you know, I think it's something we got to pass here soon, because we said we wanted to look at it for how long, but we never actually got anything on paper. So, okay. Any other questions or concerns?
I have a question about this.
Yes, sir.
We want people to utilize everything, but we don't want everything they're gonna make at their event to put it in for, but at the same time, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, because
I agree with you, I just don't think that, like Jim said, discuss it, let it marinate, maybe
well,
adjust.
let's between now and next council meeting, if you think something's too high, too low, throw it out in an email or something, so we just, you know, don't come back every week and say, well, we'll look at it again. We gotta get the ball rolling on something here at least, so, you know, it doesn't keep falling back on the taxpayers on these events. All right, so moving on to the next one, City Hall upgrades. Last week, I met with Met Tech about, you know, getting some drawings. Long story short, that after we met, it wasn't really in their purview about what we wanted to do, what their plans. They said suggesting going to Rocky Bear for the design, so I just want to let everyone know where we're at on that. Like I said, I'll get with Jim on that. It's when you were sick when that took place, but it was a 5-minute meeting, so I'd have wasted your time anyway. Councilman Barnhart, now you're up.
Yeah. Rent-to-own properties, would you like to elaborate?
Well, as we stated at the last meeting, the rent-to-own properties, there's a case directly on point which states that unless the lease has been completed, they are considered to be rental properties and are therefore subject to inspection and fees. The case is Philadelphia Housing Authority versus Barber. It's from the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, which affirmed the earlier findings of the Pennsylvania Superior Court, and that is that.
So if you have rent-to-own property, you're still, well, the first word is rent, so you're rent-to-own, so you gotta, your property still has to be inspected, you have to have a rental permit.
Did you have a question? Go
Can
ahead.
I make comment to this, or does it have to wait till?
Just wait, yeah, wait till the end on it.
I do got a question, John, also. One thing that we found also was that the liability is with the person that the house is deeded to until that deed's transferred. So if it's a rent-owned property and something happens, the liability goes on the people, on the seller, not the buyer. So just be aware of that too on that bill.
All right, anyone else on the rent to own? All right, Councilman Barnhart, keep on going.
Having a town hall meeting next, council meeting at 5:30 to go over, the commercial properties, to make sure everybody's on the same page and they know what's going on, so anybody has a commercial property or not sure what's going on, if they come next council meeting at 5:30, the town hall meeting will take place. Jackie Burt from the NEIC.
Next council meeting at 5:30.
Keep going. Keep
Commercial.
going. I'm not gonna stop.
Commercial appeal fee is gonna be $125. We're adding that into the ordinance. We're gonna add that into the ordinance, so if you wanna appeal, if you're not exempt and you feel you should be, it's gonna be a $125 appeal fee.
John, another recommendation I'd like to make is, since you're having a meeting, next council meeting at 5:30, I don't know if anybody's asked for an appeal yet. I think if anything, put them on hold, don't take their money until they sit and listen to Jackie. Because there is questions across the board from everybody, so that way, if you ask the question instead of paying $125 and find out the same answer from the judge. Next council meeting.
And Jeff?
I don't think we can do it at, Jay, there, or John, Joel, we do it at a regular meeting, we have to do it, we have to advertise and do it special, right? We can't do that at a meeting.
I don't know what you're talking about.
At a appeal, we do appeals at a meeting?
No, no, I'm saying is, somebody that has a question, instead of paying $120.
Yeah, but we can't accept the payment now anyhow, because it's not in ordinance yet, so we have to wait until it's in ordinance 10 days. 10 days after it's the ordinance, then we can pay the bill money. We can't take
Before we
it out.
get to that point, I think that you ought to have everybody invited to the.
Oh, yes, sir. Till we can accept the payment, it wouldn't be till the middle of April anyhow, so we can't take any payments. So
Can you contact the people that have appealed and tell them to be here at the next council?
yeah, I'll tell them. I'll call them.
And then for the appeal, is that per parcel number or per we'll say company or per landlord? Because, you know, let's just say there's a property that has 5 different parcels with 5 different buildings, so is that 5 different appeals or one appeal in general?
Do you have a building in mind?
I'm just throwing that out there. I know the one example, Bob Durbin came last time and said, you know, I have 5 different properties that are in Sunbury. If he wants to appeal it, does he have to pay for each parcel number?
It's 5 different
Yeah.
buildings.
5 different roofs?
If it's one building, like, I'll use 1337, they have one, Fifth and Market. That's one building with those little tiny shops in it. That's one building, 4 businesses. They pay one fee. They don't
So
pay-
so it falls under the parcel. If there's one parcel,
Yeah.
that's what it is. If
It's
there's
actually 4 parcels, but it's one big building, so they pay one fee for that building.
Okay. I was just checking. I just wondered, that might not be a question someone would probably ask, so I figured I'd ask it first. All right. Anything else on the appeals fee, anyone? All right, Councilman Ister.
Back to the tennis courts, Mr. Schreck.
Yes,
How's you
sir.
making out with the tennis coach?
As far as getting new nets, or what?
Yeah, remember we discussed it?
Yeah, we're gonna get you 3 new nets and 3 cranks this year and 3 next year.
Okay. Has Carl placed that order yet?
Not that I know of, I think we have to vote on it first.
Okay. What we'll do is, I'll talk to Carl more, get stuff ordered,
Okay,
then you can reimburse us.
okay.
But we want, I know that season started, am I correct?
Practice started.
Practice started yet.
Practice, okay. So, that part has been taken care of.
Yeah.
And tomorrow evening at 4:30, Jolene, we're getting together with Mr. Schreck and Lindy and discussing some other details regarding, I know Jolene's going to keep the scheduling and so forth in City Hall. We're discussing some details and we'll bring it back to the next council.
Anyone
Any
else?
questions on that?
No, sir. All right, announcements to review. Accepting letters of interest to fill the vacant 3-year term of Board of Appeals in Hard. If you're interested, submit letters to City Clerk or email at jbarner@sunburypa.org. The no parking ordinance will be back in effect on March 15th. E-cycling event will be April 8th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the James R. Iser Community Center. Commercial inspections will begin in mid-April. The summer kickoff will be June 3rd down at the river. Our next meeting will be this Wednesday at 5 p.m. 460 Arch Street will be auctioned by Sunbury Redevelopment Authority on April 29th. More information will be found on their website at sunburyredevelopment.org. The next council meeting will be held here at City Hall on March 27th at 6:15. Is there any other announcement? Oh, with the town hall meeting taking place prior at 5:30. Now, is there any?
I have a question. I thought we were gonna look and take an action on, 460 Arch Street. Does that change?
I think of interest of purchase. Marie,
Yes,
help us out.
my understanding is it was on hold and then we had our redevelopment authority meeting this past week and, the understanding is, unless you feel otherwise, we're gonna put it up for auction, here at the end of April. There is some interest, a little bit of interest in the property that's been expressed, we don't wanna sit on it too long. But there are no other plans for real reuse for the building. If you had to demolish it, we have been told, like informally, that it would be upwards near $100,000. So it becomes a very big project very quickly. So, our understanding from the city's perspective is we're no longer interested in exploring other ideas, we've put it out to auction. That was what was communicated through the ERA.
When was that communicated to the RA?
The other day, Adam and I talked, and you had a meeting.
Adam, yeah.
And the only reason, at that point, the interest that was shown, I think that would solve the issue for everybody.
Correct. I don't know that it's appropriate for me to speak to, in depth to the interest shown, but, I think that was what changed the conversation. 'Cause going into that meeting, it was, kind of on pause, coming out of last week's emails and back and forth. It's full steam ahead, unless the city feels differently. The property is owned by the redevelopment authority, so it's on them, even from a liability risk maintenance standpoint, to take care of the property. So they're anxious to get it, back into a tax-paying, property owner. So if there are other ideas on the table, I mean, and Jim, I wasn't privy to you and Adam's conversation, but Adam communicated through our group that the city was not interested, and so the date was set. So if
Because
that's,
of the conversation he
Yeah.
had with the other party.
exactly, yeah.
Yes.
We got a lot of movement that has happened in the last
I know the mayor had
week.
the same conversation with that party.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, Josh?
Yes.
You had to.
I just know my marching orders were for advertising it, so if it's
You had a
anything
conversation with
different.
that party too.
Oh, is that the same?
Yes.
Okay, same. Yeah, it was that same party that we mentioned. Yeah. Chief, you got something?
Just want to reemphasize, the new parking ordinance goes into effect this Wednesday, March 15th, which is commonly known as the street sweeping ordinance. Starts, it's usually in the morning, signs are up, the schedule's on the city's website, you can pick a copy of it at City Hall or the police department. This Wednesday, 9 a.m., it usually starts in the morning. Please move your cars, tell your neighbors, spread the word,
Wait, when does
Facebook,
it-
Twitter.
When does it start again?
March 15th, this Wednesday. It's usually 9 o'clock, but just so everybody understands, it starts this Wednesday and ends November 30th. So please make sure you tell your neighbors.
So they could work with the daily item.
I already worked the daily item.
He's normally on ball.
I got stuff out there so people understand. Thanks to this, I'm gonna be away for a couple days because I'm sure my voicemail will be filled up when I get back.
Chief, you can come on there.
Yeah, I already thought that.
All right, is there any public comment at this time? I'm just gonna start here, work my way back, please understand.
This is not a controversial thing.
All right, I'll start there this time. All
Just
right,
real quick,
please state your name.
Jody Ocker, and this is on behalf of Sunbury's Revitalization. I'm the acting executive director. I just wanted to announce that there is a small business organization meeting. This is a formative meeting. We have put it out on our Facebook page and advertised it. It's on Monday, March 20th, that's a week from today, at 6 p.m. across the street over at the Moose. Starts at 6 p.m. And this is in order to facilitate better communication. City is involved. Thank you, Mayor Brochus and Derek, for helping us get this organized. Also, the Greater Susquehanna Valley Chamber of Commerce is helping us organize this meeting. We're gonna want to find out from business owners what they want for a local Sunbury-specific business association, and then try to make that happen. Also want to announce that the Storyteller Art and Music Series continues with the third installment on Saturday, March 25th at 4 p.m. featuring favorite local artist, Lindy Lloyd. That's Saturday, March 25th at 4 p.m. at the Albright Center for the Arts. See you there.
Jody, the picture with the Ferris wheel on Market Street. Remember we discussed getting a picture?
Sure.
Good answer.
If you remember.
Send you it.
Yes, please.
Yes, I write it down right now.
Go ahead, sir, please state your name.
Thomas Musser. I have a rent-own property on South Second Street, and help me understand the fees and stuff associated. So 5.5 years ago, I decided to help a family out by doing rent-to-own, which by keeping the deed in my name, that protects me if they would default. 5.5 years, they've been on time, they've been good. They've got 4.5 years left. So back then, you told me I wasn't eligible because it was for a regular rental property because there was no off-street parking. Now you're saying that I'm being forced into this as a rental property, and you want to hit me with $550 plus another $50 on top of that just to get enrolled in the rental program, and then an ongoing annual fee. So I guess I don't understand how you can make a ruling. I understand rules have to change because of problems, but how you can go back and make it retroactive as opposed to us being grandfathered in and making the rule from here forward. And then if I could make a suggestion, I think that a compromise might be, make the rule moving forward when there's a tenant change so that your legitimate rent-to-owns can see it through, where your landlords that are trying to duck the system and have constant tenant changes would then be forced to comply at a tenant change.
Control, John, question, answer.
I'll respond if that's okay, sir.
That's fine.
The simple fact is, at the last meeting, I announced this, and I'm gonna announce it again. I had it wrong all these years. Not all these years, but the last couple of years. Previously, rent-to-owns were not leases, okay? They were not rental properties. There's a case, as I stated earlier, the Philadelphia Housing Authority case that I was unaware of, that was in the last couple of years, which specifically says, until the lessee exercises the option to purchase, meaning pays you in full, it is then that the tenant and landlord relationship between the parties ceases to exist, and the lease is converted into a contract of sale. That case was directly on point for what we're talking about. We don't have a choice. There's no choices here as far as whether rent-to-own or rental properties they are. The Supreme Court of Pennsylvania has made that finding. The lack of an appropriate, or the lack of a legal conclusion was me. Until this came up, I hadn't researched it again in probably 10 years. I did research it, found this case, and that's just what it is. I don't think that there's really any option for the city but to consider these rent-to-own contracts to be rental properties, because that's what the Supreme Court said. And I just don't, there's no way around that. You know what I mean? There's no getting around it. And I feel for everybody who has rent-to-owns. I have plenty of clients, you know, personally that have rent-to-owns. I've done them. I've done hundreds of them, quite honestly. But the simple fact is the law is ever changing. This law changed. And that's the best thing I can tell you.
So is there any way you can exempt us from the fees? I mean, so we're still, I have trouble understanding the $550 fee to enroll in the program. Where is that justified? Where 5 years ago, I did everything that was asked of me.
Well, there's two things with that, sir. Number one, exempting you from the fees would be discriminatory to everybody. We're not exempting from the fees. Okay, that's number one. So that's not really an option. But the fact that, I guess the question is, did the city tell you it was okay to do a rent-to-own and you didn't have to do any of the other things 5 years ago?
I'm sorry, I don't understand your...
You said 5 years ago you came to the city but didn't qualify for a rental, correct?
Right.
And then you went ahead and did the rent-to-own.
Yes, they told me that that was the other option,
Okay.
was to do a rent-to-own.
Right.
Where that still protected my investment in the case of a default, while still allowing this family to purchase a home.
Well, you're actually making the point that was made in this case. You are protecting yourself by doing that. You could have a regular mortgage and a note like any bank does and transfer the deed tomorrow and you wouldn't have to go through this process. But then you wouldn't have that protection either. And that's basically what that case says. Okay, and I'm not trying to be difficult with you, I'm really not. I mean, it's just black and white.
And 5 years ago, I don't think that the city knew of any case law at that time that would define rent-to-own.
I don't think this even was case law 5 years ago. That's what I'm saying. The law is ever changing and it just is what it is.
Sir, you say you bought the property 5.5 years ago,
Yes.
and then you went to get a rental permit for it and couldn't get it.
Right. So we bought it on foreclosure. This family was being forced out of another home. It was their fault, but they had taken, someone had given them some bad advice. And they found themselves into a problem. So they were friends of ours, we were just trying to help them out of a bad situation. So there was a foreclosure property on South Second. We were able to snatch it up in a hurry at a good price in order to help them out. So we moved quickly and didn't have a lot of time to research the other options. So,
Well, how about this? I mean, you can get with Councilman Barnhart and Joel to try to discuss more details and see how, you know, how we can do it moving forward. So, I'll meet it with them afterwards. Okay, does that help answer your question, sir, a little bit more, to try to get more detail out of them?
yeah, if I can,
Yeah, they can set
I'll
stuff
talk
up.
with them afterwards.
Awesome, thank you. Other public comment? Please.
Yeah, real quick, you could just, what you could do is sell your property to your tenant. You hold the note, and you still have the same control, you finance it to them, and then they get the title.
And I'm meeting with an attorney tomorrow to discuss that
Yeah,
option.
just
See
sell,
if
I
that gives
can
me
owner
enough
finance,
protection.
if they miss the payment.
Sorry, I don't want to have a conversation back and
No,
forth.
I'm just trying to help
Just
you
trying to,
out.
no, I get it.
Okay,
Can you state your name, sir?
Yeah, it's Mark Wahlberg. The reason I'm here is, I'm trying to figure out the commercial property inspection. So anyway, I have some properties that are occupied, I have some that are unoccupied, I have some that I'm working on. So I went and asked so basically there's 466 properties that have been listed. At this point, you've exempted already 110 of the properties. Now, I realize some of those are residential. You've been paid for 268 properties, but interestingly enough, you have reasons for exemption on the bottom of this sheet. 1 is residential, 2 is proper inspections and permits. So I'd like to clarify or get clarification on what you consider a proper permit or inspection, because I have from Labor and Industry approval on buildings which they came and did. Now, it's over 3 years old, but I'm just curious what because you have quite a few of them exempted by number 2. And then number 3 is
Governmental, Mark.
governmental buildings. So there's actually more people and traffic in a government building than there is in any of these private buildings. So to exempt the local Sunbury buildings from inspection, the government, that doesn't make sense to me at all. But hold on. Number 4, this is the one that really drew my attention. Per council. So you exempted properties for drive, and the reason for exemption is per council. Now, those properties up on the hill compete with me and my properties, like Linda Culver used to lease for me, now she leases there. So they're taken off the tax rolls, they're taken off the school district rolls, and now they're taken off the inspection rolls. So my question is, what do I have to do to get mine exempted the same way? I have tenants, so I don't understand who is per council. So you guys get to vote separately on certain issues? They didn't have to file the $125 fee that you just said, or was it, how did that work out? How did you decide that?
Councilman Barnhart?
Yeah, how did you decide?
Okay,
Well, it says right here, exemption per council. So my question is, how do I get exemption per council? I'm just moving up so I can hear.
well, let me back up there. The Sunbury, all government buildings are exempt. Federal, state, county,
Those aren't government buildings.
and, let me finish, please. And the city. The city, we're inspecting our own buildings as a show of good faith. We're leading the way to make, so there isn't blighted problems, so we don't have any problems with the city buildings. As far as the building up on the hill, right there is a lady with the drive, and she can tell you why they're exempt, because that building is going to be, they have their permits for construction that they're going to be doing. Jennifer, have you?
Later this year, there are there are 3 buildings left up there that we own. The one that is occupied, I've already been in touch with the chief assessor, it is going back on the tax rolls. That is the one that we also paid the fee for to have it inspected, because it is an occupied in-use building. The 2 that we believe should be exempted were because there will be rehabilitation done on both of those buildings later this year. There will be building permits, there will be inspectors, there will be all kinds of things. If those deals fall through and we don't close on them, then we would file for a commercial inspection for them. That was our understanding based on some conversations that we had. So we didn't appeal our ruling, we just filled out the paperwork and said there was a place on there to list why it should be exempted.
So exempted because something's pending. Well, I have things pending on all my properties.
Did you put that on your application for?
I haven't filled it out yet, because I need clarification.
Well, then, what are we talking about? Quite honestly, Mark, if you haven't filled out your exemption request.
It's due on the 15th.
Right, but you haven't been denied.
I understand, I just want to get when there's 5 different categories, I want to make sure that I write the right thing, because obviously.
This isn't the place to learn how.
Huh?
The code office is the place to learn how.
Okay, well,
Not in the middle of a public meeting.
And next council meeting.
I hate to tell you this, but a public meeting is for this.
No, we don't teach you things in a public meeting, Mark. We answer questions. You go to the code office to get.
I went to the code office and they said I should come to council, but that's okay.
But you guys need to get your cards straight.
They told me to come here and they gave me this.
Okay.
Next council
So,
meeting,
you know-
also doing the inspection from NEIC will be here, Jackie, or.
It's fine. You guys tell me to come here, I come here. I didn't just make this list up, they gave it to me.
All I'm saying is you haven't been denied yet. I don't know what the complaint is.
I'm not trying to be denied, there is no complaint, I'm trying to figure out which category seems to pertain to my properties, that's all I'm trying to do. You have 5 different things here.
I understand, and quite honestly, if that's still a question, call me tomorrow, I'll tell you exactly.
It's fine, you should be nicer to your constituents, that's all.
Jennifer, maybe you should be nicer to the solicitor.
All right,
I got it.
go ahead, go ahead.
Those properties up there are pending sale, am I correct?
Either sale or lease, yes.
Sale or lease, okay.
Yes.
Now, Mark, you said you had all your buildings pending?
No, I said, oh, I don't think this is the right place to discuss it according to your
Okay,
counsel.
I apologize for asking the question.
No, but I'm VC, it's funny.
Are there any other public comment at this time? Please state your name.
Victoria Rosencrantz. So, hearing this evening, city administrators coming up and Derek's been addressed and asked questions. So, on 1/23/23, he was reinstated as our city administrator, is that correct?
I don't remember the date, if that's.
That's the date, that was the
Okay,
date.
then yes, that is correct.
Okay, and so my question is, was that announced to the public that he accepted that? Because at that meeting, he did not accept that?
We did not make an official announcement, it took a while to get the contract. I don't know what a while, we'll have to look back when the actual signature on the contract was, but there was never an official announcement.
Okay, so can we do that so that the citizens know who our city administrator is and that he accepted that? Because nobody knows that.
We can.
Thank you, I
post
appreciate that. My next question is, tonight, the agenda, correct, for the meeting is supposed to be on the website?
That is correct, according to the law, yes.
Okay, so if you go out to the website right now and you click on agenda, the agenda that's on there is for February.
Yeah, you have to go through the long way.
But, well, please let me talk. So, yes, you're right. You have to go to file share. So you have to click on file share for tonight's meeting, and then you gotta click on city council meeting that says 1/23. Then you gotta click on city council meetings that says 3/10, and then you gotta click on March 13th agenda to find the agenda for tonight. So, I'm not understanding why I know, because I've had this conversation many a time. And that's what happened with getting the city council button on there and the agenda button. And I find myself here again. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because 2 people called me last night and said, Victoria, I can't find the agenda. And I said, it's out there, but you gotta go through all these steps. So, so if the person that is putting that information on there, do they know how to put it on there?
I can't answer what their ability is, you have to ask that.
I'm not gonna ask that question. You should be asking that question.
Well, from your understanding, who is responsible, because I know that you did the right to know whose responsibility it was. So you would have to ask the person in charge of that individual.
So who's in charge of Sierra?
Sierra, so it's Sierra's responsibility.
Sierra's the one that posted it for tonight.
She posted it in when Derek was out with his,
So you're telling me Derek's responsibility to post the agenda?
that was my understanding, from when, I thought it was going back to the old rule.
No, we talked about that in one of our last meetings, correct me if I'm wrong, Joel, did we not talk about that?
I thought for the time being it was going to Sierra because he was out on the
We
leave.
discussed it wasn't his, and if we were gonna make it part of his job description, we were gonna have to make a change.
Well, it was already in his job description because he did it for 2 years.
It wasn't that, I don't think it was in his job description.
I have a job description right here.
Yes, well, I wasn't part of that first.
This was from 9/21, the job description.
Sorry, that was the timer, sorry.
Well, regardless, we can, we have an issue with the rest of the issues.
Well, it needs to be addressed because here's the thing, it's about transparency, okay? It's about transparency. So again, this is what I've said before, somebody comes and moves into the city, they say, gee, I wanna go to the city council meeting. Oh, look, I go out on the city council website and I click on agenda, oh, wait a minute, I don't know what the agenda is. how's that layperson that just moved into Sunbury gonna know good file share?
You have a very good point.
I do, and I hope it gets corrected. My next question is meeting minutes. So, so when meeting minutes go up onto the website, is there a time frame? So now I know tonight you said, at the beginning of the meeting, you say, do we accept the minutes of the previous meeting? So how soon should those meeting minutes be getting out on the website?
I don't have an answer to that, how long it takes.
Okay.
I never actually looked. Did you have a time, how long it takes? Because I don't.
Well, I looked on the Sunshine Act and it wasn't really saying, basically out there it says it should be uploaded in an amount of time. So I understand the fact that if you wait and not put up the previous meeting because you approved them tonight, I have no problem with that. But here's my concern. So I was looking for the meeting minutes of February 20th. They're not there. And the meeting minutes from 1/9.
We just approved those, that's why. We just approved tonight, February 20th minutes.
Did you have a meeting on the 27th?
Yeah, we just approved them tonight also.
Or why didn't you approve the 20th on the 27th?
I don't have an answer for that. I'm just saying we approved them tonight, that's why we didn't upload it yet.
We usually only do it once a month for approval of reports and minutes.
So how was I supposed to read meeting minutes to prepare for the meeting tonight? See what I'm getting at?
I'm confused on what you're asking. The meeting minutes were for the prior meeting, it's not for tonight's.
I understand that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that you had a meeting on February 20th. So why weren't those meetings approved on the 27th so that those meeting minutes could be put out on the website? Because I was looking for those meeting minutes so that I could go back and review what was said, and I couldn't do that. So my other concern is that if you go out there and click on the meeting minutes from 1/9 and 1/23, they weren't even posted until March 6th.
I don't know, Victoria, we'll have, one of those things, we'll have to improve on that.
Absolutely. So let's go back to approving of the public use. So,
Excuse me, are those the facilities?
Mhm.
Okay, I'm sorry, I just wanted to make sure.
okay, so Jim went over, this is what's gonna happen, Lindy and Slate are gonna do this. So my question is, I put in probably a week and a half ago, 2 weeks for the Rotary Flags for Heroes. I still haven't heard anything. And I can't market my event until I hear something. So have we established a time frame that people will be notified as to when, if I can move forward and am I allowed to use that space? Because I can't market these flags until I have that information.
I'll have to speak to Councilman Nicer because that's what they're gonna figure out tomorrow when they have the meeting with,
But the Rotary flags are really involved.
well,
Well, it's a public use space, so somebody has to approve it.
Yes, I have the application for it.
For Front Street.
Yes, I have the
so she
application.
just asked me what's the turnaround time once an application is received, when she, well, not her, does anyone in general hear that?
I didn't see the application, I was off with COVID, so I'm getting back around. But on my end, of signing off is the easy part, but I know you want to start selling them, okay? And of course, Steve has to then put up with them.
No, Steve doesn't put them up. Steve does, we called him 2 weeks before, a week before, and he does the one call. We put them in with rebar. There's nothing you guys have to do other than I need to know if we can use things.
Well, you're referring to the American flags.
Correct.
Excuse me, apologize. Okay, we'll handle it tomorrow.
Did council vote on the road closure for the Goodwill's Easter egg hunt for Lime Street and 7th Street? Did you guys vote on that? Because I put that in a while back.
I would have,
I don't think that was brought to my attention yet, no.
well, it's a city road closure, we don't vote on city road closure, so it's just a matter of getting approval, once again.
I just read something that's what it said in that information, so that's
Well,
why I'm asking.
we only approve, as you know, the PennDOT ones, the regular
Correct.
city streets will
Okay.
just fall under the same category
Okay.
as an event.
All right, well, that was just new information that was typed up, that's why I'm asking, was it approved? Because I wanna make sure that we can close those streets for the egg hunt for the safety. So, okay. Well, that's all I have, so I guess out of the whole, let's wrap it back up. I hope that our city can be more transparent for our citizens, because right now it's not, and citizens can't prepare for these meetings and know what's going on. Thank you.
Any other public comment at this time? Please state your name.
I am William Lively. I am, sorry, this is, would you mind if I go up to these?
Go right ahead, Will.
I am the Boy Scout in Troop Scout 309, Scout Troop 309. I am also a member of the Venture Group 2307, and I'm working on my Eagle Scout project. I was wondering if I could use space in the, specifically a space next to the pavilion at Fort Discovery, across from the bathrooms for the baseball fields. I have pictures and a few papers here. What are we building?
How you gonna say no to
Basically, it is a pit for a game that's just played for ball. I want to build something there for like more than just using your imagination on the playgrounds. I want to build it because
Sorry, well, it's good. It's really good. You're doing good, you're doing good.
Basically, we have one of these at our Boy Scout camp. I've made long-lasting friendships with it. To this day, I still know people that I've met just once or twice there. And keeping kids involved with just anything, really, to keep them from just doing anything that they shouldn't be doing in general, which you stated implicitly at one of our past meetings. You joined in on, and I honestly really enjoyed it. Because you brought up some really cool things. I'm just open to any questions.
I mean, I see what you want to do here. Well, I mean, I'd direct over to Councilman Ister because that's more in his forte, and maybe get with him. No, go ahead.
Well, we'll get together, I'm not sure on the location yet. And,
most of it would be donations from other people. The city wouldn't have to pay for pretty much anything.
let's get together and, we'll get together.
Will, can you get Councilman Ister your information after the meeting, then you guys can set something up?
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment at this time? Any other public comment? Please state your name.
My name is Tammy Hursman, and I have some questions in regard to the commercial appeal fee. At what point does that get applied? Like once our building is inspected and then we disagree with the decision?
I don't know, following.
So, you mean the exemption?
Is that what that means, the appeal?
The appeal, is that the exemption?
No, that's two different things.
Okay,
Like if you want to get exempt, and we say you can't be exempt, and then you can appeal that decision.
so is there a reason, obviously, why we're charging $125? Like, where does that money go to?
It's administrative fees, Jeff, did you like this?
It's my fee, the fees for my office, plus to have you appeal, we can't just have an appeal just in front of the city council, we have to put it in the newspaper, and that's like, I might be wrong, but $110 just to put it in. So the other $15 will be for mailing fees, and my staff to do your paperwork.
Okay, so my question is, if we were able to prove that you, in essence, are exempting people, but not all of the same people for the same reason, we wouldn't have the right to appeal that without paying $125.
You could prove that we exempted people, I don't understand, I'm sorry, seriously.
You exempted someone from a commercial inspection
Okay.
based on an occupancy permit.
And, okay, correct permits, yes. Now, see, okay, is it your occupancy permits, the only ones you had were for a sign? You
But
didn't
that
have-
is not true.
No, it is.
No, it's not.
Guys, we're not here to
Okay, go ahead.
debate, argue that point.
I
It's just-
have the actual permit numbers,
Mhm.
and in essence, what you quoted was for my sign permit. It was not for my occupancy permit. So now that we have all this information, and knowing we aren't exempt from a commercial inspection,
then you could appeal it. If you have more
But now
information.
I gotta pay $125.
No, but I'm saying, if you have information that I don't have, or NEIC doesn't have, you appeal it.
But I pay $125.
To appeal it, yes. Because we have to put it in the newspaper, we can't just do it in a closed room, we can't
And
just
this
do.
appeal is from the exemption, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Not for the inspection, for the exemption.
Correct. So you've already given out notices of people being exempt.
We have, yep.
So this is where this applies, this $125.
It's for, like, for you, like, if you say to me, Jeff, I have, I'm sorry, Mayor, but if you say to me, Jeff, I have information that you don't have, I wanna show you that we are properly inspected, we opened properly. If you can show me you did that, then you would be okay, but I don't think you have that information.
We have to have
Okay.
I don't think you have that, the information that you need,
even though we're doing the construction.
And then again, if we win an appeal
right?
and we are exempt, how
Yes.
long are we exempt for?
3 years.
3 years,
2026, yeah.
not 2024.
Now you're talking about 3 years, 2026.
Okay. I'm only asking,
No, it's
obviously,
okay, no, it's
minutes
3,
get
it's
recorded.
3 years, if it was done within the last 3 years, you're gonna be exempted, so actually until 2026.
Okay. I will let the others know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment at this time? Any other public comment?
March 15th, no
All right, I adjourn this meeting.
Did you find it now?